Yes, someone had a question.
You talked about harmony and consonance and dissonance. What are your thoughts about rhythm?
I've had students say to me, "Can you please? Is there something I should know to be able to comp and rhythmically to be able to be a little bit more strong in the way I interact with other players in the group?" Well, it's impossible for me to focus an answer upon the facets of that person's dilemma. It's a dilemma, and I'll tell you why the dilemma came about. Primarily, my belief is that we all are rhythmically profound. Each of us are. The rhythm that we each have separate from each other is the rhythm of our heartbeat, the rhythm of our pace when we walk, the rhythm of our pronunciation, how we pronounce what we think and what we feel. It has a rhythm. When we begin to consider the confinement of being something we are not, which is now to turn what we are naturally blessed with, which is the rhythm of life itself, into something that is congratulated on the basis of fitting in to that particular profession or that particular idiom in a profession. In other words, the rhythm of a rhythm and blues guitarist is a lot different than the rhythm of an avant-garde player, which is a lot different than a bluegrass player, which is a lot different than a classical performer. So what is rhythm? Rhythm is what is, in my opinion, of course, is what is demanded for one profession that is marketed to sell in that field of the market. And jazz has its rhythms, and those rhythms sell with regards to what is being promoted at any given time in that particular idiom. So rhythm is something that I think transcends, goes far beyond a study in a school as the rules and regulations of music. And I think that's something that has to be seen from a distance, under conditions that are not subject to falling prey to the procedure itself of education. Yeah.
I recently read Kenny Werner's Effortless Mastery book, and I'm just amazed by the fact that masters seem to tap into the same source of beauty and then use that as the basis for their philosophy. Are you familiar with that book by any chance?
No, I'm not. Do you find any similarities in my opinions as well?
Very much so, yes.
Okay.
I'm blown away by it.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that his work is as a source, is stimulating to that degree. I think that's great. I really do think that music, up until now, with of course there are exceptions in every land. There are exceptions. So don't take this as negative or positive. But I do think until now, in terms of its professional use, music is seen primarily as a form of entertainment. It is not. It goes far beyond entertainment. It goes far beyond entertainment. What it will do for an individual in terms of its vibration, the powers that it has are magnificent. And I think that this is up to the individual's decision, whether or not he or she would like to participate in this. And you can find some of the manifestations of these ecstasies in certain forms of music. One of them is gospel. You can find that in gospel music. But you can find that in many other forms of music as well, that goes far beyond just the entertainment of it, where spiritually and sonically within the individual, something is ignited that transcends the profession that was of service to it. So I was taking a shower this morning, and one of the words that came to my attention under the spray, under the flow, was trying to remember. I can remember the word that followed it as, oh, that's that. The word was being. The word was being. And now I'm trying to remember. That's one of my side effects of the operations, retainment. It's very difficult sometimes to retain the past. And I'm forced to see that as a benefit. Because it forces me to pay more attention to here and now. Something I never did when I was a youngster. Primarily because I was too busy doing my homework.
Pat, did you ever get to know Coltrane personally?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, well, you know, what could you know at the age of 14? How could you know at the age of 14? But I met John at Dennis Sandoli's.
Wow.
I had the opportunity from my dad, brought me to Dennis Sandoli at the age of 14, and I studied him until the age of 15, a period maybe of 6 months, 6 to 7 months. And I met Benny Golson there. I met James Moody there for the first time, and I met Train there, and I spent moments with Train. He took me to a deli on the corner.
No kidding.
I sat with Train, and I had hot chocolate and toast.
Wow.
And yeah, I had some precious moments with Train.
Wow.
I was more interested. I learned more about the people than I did about what they did to survive.
Sure.
How they adapted to the moments that, you know, what they were doing. And that to me was astounding. That was an astounding experience. So education to me, I find education on the basis of knowledge in itself, information. I find it extremely valuable. That's where we get back to Nicholas Slonimsky and others of that stature for formal training. And again, back to the objectivity and subjectivity. We get back to yin and yang. We get back to something else that's similar to both, which is the front door and the back door. And I see those who graduate high school into college and go as far as a PhD in what they do. They've achieved recognition from the front door in. And those who are exceptional icons, who have entered through self-teaching and through a magnificent awareness of similarity in all things, from complexity to simplicity, from an objective distance, have entered through the back door. And they both reside in the same place now. The few who do. And one participates in the establishment in such a way that there's support for it to continue, offering entrance into a higher level of knowledge and awareness, and the other offers the other side of it, the intuition side of it. And I think that both are needed, just like the front door and the back door are entrances and exits to the same place. I think that's an extremely valuable condition. Oppositions. You know. Yes.